Story 1. As a younger person, my worst fear is not being able to ever earn enough income to hold a sustainable, let alone happy, life without having to work myself to death with my partner and making them have to work themselves to death to sustain us. Story 2. Society in general. I work in healthcare and have several friends who are public school teachers, and in the last 3 years, we can all testify that people have become much more aggressive, disrespectful, and violent. Many of us are afraid to go to work every day. Story 3. I read an article recently about a college professor who gave an assignment to a new class that asked them to write a short essay about themselves. A ridiculous amount of the students used ChatGPT to write these essays about themselves. So if they cannot even write a short, simple, no real wrong answers essay without ChatGPT, how many of them that would normally flunk out are using artificial intelligence and all the other shortcuts in the world to get these degrees that qualify them to be doctors, lawyers, scientists, and so on? It is crazy to think what the world will look like in a few decades. We are sliding backward, not forward. Story 4. Half the country is going to be furious here in about 18 days. Literally, 150 million people are going to feel like they got robbed. There's so much passion over all this, and many people have invested so much in the outcome. I'm afraid that we might see violence or protests that don't go peacefully. I'm afraid that as a country we will trade one set of ideals for another, and it will be harder to live, and the struggle will get worse. Story 5. That I still can't find anyone to fall in love with, and by that time, my energy levels, desires, emotions, and fun times are wasted with no one by my side. Story 6. The escalation of tensions in multiple parts of the world is evident. They often overlap geographically, and most have some influence on how others develop. It's concerning that there are reports of North Korean military joining Russia against Ukraine, but I've yet to read anything from a credible source, so I worry this could be stoking unfounded flames. China has its involvement in many issues. Beyond the obvious concerns of Taiwan, the South China Sea, the Uyghurs, social credit, and Xi Jinping, there's the growing influence of the Belt and Road Initiative. They're sponsoring infrastructure projects in over 100 countries, and these fragile economies will be beholden to China's will when push comes to shove. Some of these projects are poorly constructed and, in some cases, are worsening situations for those they should have helped, adding more financial stress to already pressed economies. Trump is suggesting he would reduce support for Ukraine. Zelensky is apparently saying NATO or nuclear weapons, and Putin is ensuring everything around him will be destroyed before he relinquishes anything. I'm in Denmark, and developments in the Baltics make me concerned for the future stability of my children here. Finland preferred neutrality but has taken sides because the threat is literally at their border, similar to Sweden. Denmark's sovereignty and control over the Great Belt, Little Belt, and Kattegat mean there are significant responsibilities on a military that has been a peacetime force for decades. The last time a Danish warship was actively responding before this past spring was when the ship was made of wood, and that ship is now a museum. A lot has happened in the last 5 years, and there's much more that can happen in the next. The way things are going, I am not optimistic about the future. Story 7. I am posting 2 things. 1. The polarized political climate reaching a point where populations break down and war breaks out. People are so passionate about politics and their team winning that they completely disregard what it means to be a decent person. And they are willing to kill over it. Complete and total financial collapse. Savings and retirements of most Americans being wiped out due to government overspending, thus leaving the majority of people without a means to survive in their later years. Also, adding in the collapse of the social security system and the income our elderly rely on for survival. Story 8. Raising my son right and doing it alone, very alone, because my mom is dying right now. She won't be here for much longer, maybe a month. He's 3.5 right now. I will have no one to send a picture of his first day of school anymore. I'm so alone. Story 9. I'm Latina living in the United States. I still get comments from people asking about my legal status and how I can stand by and watch the bad Latinos come to this country and take our jobs. I'm guessing November 6th is going to be a very interesting day. I still have 1 year left of school, but I'm terrified. Story 10. My kid is going to be a teenager in the next 5 years. She is already intelligent, headstrong, and charismatic, and I am worried both about things she may do or things others may try to do. Story 11. That these random thoughts of killing myself start to become appealing. Just to add, I don't think I'm suicidal. The thought just pops up now and then for a few minutes. Story 12. That I'll still be stuck working a job with no progression in a town I hate with little chance of getting out. I'm trying to find other work, but for as much as it's claimed that Generation Z is lazy or that there are millions of jobs available, it doesn't seem like anyone actually wants to hire. Story 13. The kids that graduate in the next 5 years are completely helpless. They take the first Google search as gospel and never dig any deeper. They do not read. They do not know how to punctuate a sentence. They are horrible to each other and make fun of people to the point of suicide but still find that funny. Their use of marijuana pales even to my generation and we made it legal. The amount of anxiety and depression is unreal. They have zero social skills and do not care to learn it. Their parents are mostly checked out and they are all completely phone addicted. They believe everything they see on TikTok like flat earth and whatever misogynistic dude is currently popular. The apathy to learning is just creating a bunch of idiots. Story 14. In the next 5 years, my main concern would be artificial intelligence progressing faster than we can manage or regulate, which could create major societal and ethical issues. Story 15. Artificial intelligence. We should all be concerned about it. It is going to transform our entire world in every way imaginable. It is going to take jobs, create deepfakes for propaganda, be used for weapons in war, and other scary things. That said, it will also revolutionize medicine and probably come up with ideas we would have never thought of on our own. Still, the next 5 to 10 years are going to be disruptive. Story 16. Having a child and not being able to provide well enough for them, not only financially but also emotionally. Having to teach them about the challenging world they'll have to learn to survive in. Story 17. Right now I'm unemployed, and I cannot bring myself to go back into that same career. I'm older, so changing careers is not a great idea, but I will die from stress if I have to go back into that toxicity. But what do I do for a living if not what I have done for decades? Story 18. So many answers about our election, but I can live with that however it goes, and I believe most people will. I am 1,000 times more concerned about Israel picking a fight with everyone around them and Ukraine. I just do not see any of this ending well without more Western powers stepping in, and we know those all come with extreme prejudice and all the old hatred between those parties. Next thing you know, someone will be trying to invade Russia in the winter all over again. Story 19. For me, I live in the Middle East, specifically from Jordan. I am afraid the next 5 years will only hold wars for us. It is unstable, and we are unable to plan a future or think of one. It is only survival for us. Life goes on in the strangest way. Story 20. I am always afraid of my mother dying. I have 2 reasons for this. When she dies, I will be homeless. I am disabled, and my monthly check is not nearly enough to live on. Also, my mom is my best friend, and I cannot imagine living without her. I will be homeless and totally alone. Story 21. The United States' continued descent into fascism. Even if Kamala Harris wins in November, there are still state governments out there that will be very conservative, and they will be the test bed to see how far the right can push fascism in this country. Anytime fascism rises in a country, anyone who is not already in the privileged classes is always disadvantaged. And I am not in one of the privileged classes. Story 22. I worry about losing touch with friends and family. Life moves fast, and it is easy to drift apart. I want to stay connected and make memories together. Story 23. Not graduating from college, being unemployed, still depending on my parents, not having to leave home, and not becoming a financially stable and independent adult, having no improvement. Story 24. Inflation. I live in a country where wages have been stagnant for quite a while, but prices are going up every year. I could leave, but I don't because I don't want to abandon my mom. I'm scared for my future and how I'll have to face everything in this sinking economy. Story 25. In the next 5 hours, my flight, which takes off in 10 minutes, hasn't started boarding. It is supposed to drop me off at an airport the instant my next flight starts boarding. Thankfully, the airport in question is fairly small. Update. My flight was delayed by 20 minutes, and my connecting flight is delayed by 30 minutes. It should work out just fine. Now back to worrying about my birth country descending into fascism over the next 5 years. Story 26. That my country will devolve into one where I can no longer safely raise a family, so I'll have to attempt to move us somewhere else in the world and start over. Story 27. I am worried a regional war will spread throughout the Middle East, and it is possible it will lead to World War III. I am also terrified at the prospect of a Trump presidency. Story 28. My increasing age and my wife's health. More generally, I am very worried about the effects of a Trump presidency, both domestic and abroad. Flipping the table is not good policy, and he seems to be going about it in a particularly dangerous way. Story 29. Well, considering the fact that I live in the Middle East with hostile neighbors who receive full support from the United States regardless of their actions, I am terrified because there seems to be no accountability for any of their actions. Living next to them makes me wonder who's next and to what extent we are going to suffer from the effects of war. Story 30. I'm 77 female and in very good shape both physically and intellectually. My biggest fear is losing the advantages I still enjoy. I have younger friends who use walkers, wheelchairs, and canes. I would also hate to lose my desire to keep learning and growing. Story 31. Losing my job and going into the current challenging job market. I genuinely do not have it in me to submit 1,000 applications or resumes a day in order to get 2 responses within a few weeks. Story 32. Injuring myself so I can't do my job I just got into. Switching career paths for the 3rd time at 19 would not be great for me. Also, maybe having a bad relationship. Story 33. The cumulative health impacts on the population from multiple COVID-19 reinfections every year. We are seeing long COVID-19 numbers increase, taking people out of the workforce, and there is no cure or even treatment yet, and none on the horizon. Plus, we know COVID-19 increases the risks of heart attacks, strokes, cancers, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, and immune deficiency. And now bird flu is taking off in the United States. Marburg virus and monkeypox are ravaging Africa. The past 5 years have seriously undermined public health, and we are sleepwalking into multiple pandemics. Story 34. I'm most afraid of waking up in 5 years and realizing I haven't made any progress toward my goals. The thought of being stuck in the same routine without personal growth or new experiences is really daunting. Story 35. In 5 years, my kids will be 15 and 17. Their childhoods have escaped me, and I've been here for every moment of them. So I'm really afraid of losing my relationship with either of them over the next few years. Teenagers are hard, I remember. It feels weird to imagine them not needing me or not trusting my experiences. They've got to figure it out for themselves then to an extent. Story 36. Politicians or governments making a fuss about the next banal thing to justify removing rights from all low, middle, and high wealth populations. The end of net neutrality is one of those possible things. Social control and social points is another. Grants for electric vehicles and eco-friendly devices, instead of helping actual citizens, are other examples. Story 37. Going to be getting married and starting a family here soon. Am I really going to be a wife and a mother? I'm still a kid at heart, so this is getting more surreal. Story 38. In March 2023, I lost a cousin, a 35-year-old female, to lupus. 4 days later, I lost a nephew, a 31-year-old male, whose body gave out from years of drug use. In August, I lost another cousin, a 40-year-old male, to pancreatic cancer. I'm terrified I'm going to lose more loved ones who are too young to die.